Yo, what's going on, everybody? I'm back in here with another video. This is gonna be a special video because I went through something like a week and some change ago. Like actually the day of Thanksgiving. It was a 2-day process, and it's about my deliverance that happened. You know, I've been watching deliverance like videos and ministries and stuff like that. I've actually been following like guys like Pastor Vlad, Pastor Isaiah, even recently Daniel Adams. I've been following these guys. And I've always had this weird skepticism about the people. I don't know. It's not that I thought they was faking it. It's just like, how could that be possible? And even if I went through my own deliverance, I wouldn't, you know, go through anything like that. But man, was I wrong, man? But before I get into the whole deliverance, I'm gonna get into the process leading up to the deliverance. You know, because those of you know, I've been really walking with God lately for this last year. And I've been doing a lot of things for God, but I always felt like there was a block. I struggle with sin. And to be honest, I thought that I would just be somebody who struggled with sin, who fight and loses. And I used to feel like because I felt bad for the sin, that was me, you know, being convicted. And that means the Holy Spirit's still with me. That means it was okay. But that was just, you know, me justifying the sin. And like, you know, and I just struggled a lot, man. Like so bad. Like, oh man, like my struggle, like with just lust, anger, wrath. Like I would really read, you know, Galatians when it talks about the fruit of the Spirit, and I'm like, I'm not producing any fruit. Like I'm not producing any of this fruit. You know, joy, peace, patience. Like I'm not self-control. I'm not producing any of that. And it's like, wow. And I'm asking God, like, God, help me produce these fruit. Like I'm telling you, I'm submitting to you. I'm waking up early. I'm trying all these things. I'm trying, and I'm gonna keep feeling like, can you help? So, you know, I could say a bit frustrated, but I didn't stop. You know, the proverb said, the righteous man falls 7 times to get back up, but the wicked man falls in calamity. I was not gonna give in and give up. I was gonna die trying. You know what I'm saying? To my last breath, I was gonna keep trying and keep fighting and knowing to lose. So, you know, I just struggled. Now, I watched the Ty Jackson video on TikTok. If you haven't checked him out, go check him out. He's real great on TikTok. I watched the video and it was talking about, you know, willfully sinning and struggling with sin. And I just left a comment saying, like, what's the difference? Because, like, a part of me feel like I struggle because I would fight the urge to not give in. I just would give in. You know, after a few attacks from the enemy, I would just give in. And I feel like because I fought and lost, that's me still struggling. But I left a comment. And some guy reached out to me, and I don't really like to I like to properly vet people that profess they being in Christ, because a lot of times it's people just trying to get money out of you. You know what I'm saying? Like some people are genuine, but a lot more than others is people that's being disingenuous and trying to just get money out of you and just scam you out of some stuff. Like social media and being on the internet is just full of scams. But for some reason, I responded to him. He was like, "Hey, call me." So I called him the same day. I think it was on Thursday. It was on Thanksgiving. I called him on Thursday, and you know, I was telling him about my situation, and you know, hey, he's just like straight up, "Hey brother, you got a demon. You got a demon." And I'm like, yeah. In my head, I'm like, even if I got one, I'm still not gonna manifest. It's just, you know, I got something because I keep losing. So he was like, "Hey, what I want to do is just see something real quick." This is the first crazy point. I first realized it was real. He said, "Say this prayer after me." Now, I pray all the time. Like, I'm not trying to brag or boast, but I pray a lot, like multiple times a day. And I don't mean like a formal, but I'm just talking to God throughout my day. And so I'm praying. And as I'm praying, you know, I find it hard to like talk. It's kind of like sleep paralysis, but you awake. Like, I felt my throat getting like, you know, just constricted. And I was just like, and he's like, hey, you there? You there? And I was like, yo, I couldn't talk. That was the first thing that came in my mouth. I was like, yo, I can't talk. And he was like, yeah, man, you got some demons. And I'm like, yo, that's so crazy. Like, that was weird. So he was like, hey, yeah, you know, I got a schedule, but you know, I can squeeze you in next week. I'm like, nah, I need this today. I need this. Can you please squeeze me in today? So he's like, all right, look, I got you tonight at 8 o'clock. I'm like, thank you. So now this is the hard part, waiting all them hours, because the thing is, whatever was in me did not want it to get done. I felt weird. My heart was beating. My hands was like this the whole day. It was just wild. So it was like, you know, the whole, I'm feeling like I want to cancel. I'm just hoping that he won't call me. But I'm like, I got to go through with this. I got to. Like, I've been under bondage so long. I think that's why God allowed me to struggle so much, so I could be desperate. So I wouldn't allow them to say, you know, because they, you know, can influence you to not, and they, I mean demons, like whatever you want to call them. I'm telling you, they're demons. They're disembodied spirits. Well, they will do anything they can to get you to not go. And I had to be desperate enough to make sure that I will not let this guy leave until I was delivered. So, you know, 8 o'clock came. I'm getting chills just thinking about it because it was like it happened 5 minutes ago. I can remember everything so vividly. I can make this video 3 years from now and it's gonna sound just like this. So I'm trying to see how good I am on time. All right. So what happened was I wanted to do it in the car because I didn't want my family to see it because I don't know how crazy it was gonna get. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go with my car. We're in my car, FaceTime, we video chat, and it was over the phone. And that shows you that one, God has no limits. They can be in front of you. They can be 1,000 miles away. God has no limits. When the presence of the Holy Spirit is there and he confronts a demon, they will manifest. Nothing gonna stop that but you. So, and when I say but you, I'm gonna get into that, what happened. So we started praying. I started renouncing things and he was telling me that, you know, I was just, because my father's from New Orleans. My father never partook in like witchcraft, but I've recently found out I had an aunt that really kind of get into it. And they in New Orleans. New Orleans, they could have partook in it and not even realize what they was doing. They're not spiritually woke. You know, a lot of my family is stuck in religion. Not everybody, a lot of them stuck in religion versus pursuing God in a relationship and really studying the word and knowing what's in it. So, you know, he's renouncing witchcraft, lust, soul tie, just a lot of things. And he's looking at, this about like a good 30 minutes. He's like, and I know it was so funny. He said, you got stubborn demons. They're not coming up. It was like 20 minutes, and I'm just thinking maybe I'm not going to manifest. Because I felt something weird. Like I just felt tension like in my shoulder, and I just felt like my shoulder was like this. But I thought, I'm like, maybe this is demons leaving because I felt something here. But I'm not realizing, you know, because I was kind of like antsy and moving around, but I just thought I was nervous because of the process. So what happened was he, you know, started asking me like, hey, you know, what else are you holding on to? What else are you holding on to? And I'm like, he's like, what about unforgiveness? I'm like, I got a little bit, you know, toward my mother, and that's going to be probably another video. I don't want to get into that right now, but unforgiveness toward my mother, And then when I said, you know, I renounced, you know, bitterness for my mother, I yawned. He's like, that's it, it's coming out. I just kept yawning and yawning and yawning. And I'm just like, you know, okay. Because it was like a yawn that wouldn't come out. I was like, and I was holding it, you know what I'm saying? It just wouldn't come out. And then I kept doing it. I started coughing. And then I started to actually record because my shoulder started doing this. And at that point, like right before that, I started recording. And I'm like, there's no audio on it because I can't record the audio on a video call. But you can see me like, yo, this ain't me. Like my shoulder started moving. And then, now you're like me. I was conscious of everything. Like I was conscious of him. I heard everything. But I wasn't even aware that my body was moving. When I look back at the video, it felt like my shoulder moved. I told him about it. And then I remember my head was to the left. And he was like, look at me. And like, I tried to turn my head and I couldn't. And I was like, yo, this is weird. So I'm like, I'm trying to really fight, and I couldn't turn my head to look at the screen because he's filled with the Holy Spirit. And he's confronting me with the Holy Spirit. The demons don't want to look. So I'm just like, yo, so my head actually turned. And I was like, wow, like this, I'm not, and I'm just moving around. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. So I'm scared. Like I low-key want to like get this done right now. I don't even want to do it no more. Because like, I don't have control over my body. This was just weird. So then he goes, he confronted the demon. He's like, what is your name? So I'm about to respond like, what? But when I'm opening my mouth, I'm just like, blah, blah, blah. That's what came out my mouth. And I'm like, yo, so at this point, I'm like, I got a little bit more control over my body, but I can't speak. So I'm telling him like, I don't have control over, he thought I couldn't breathe, but I'm like, yo, I have no control over my words. So then he's like, I command you to come down, go down, demon, go away. I don't know where it went back down. And then I started coughing and I was able to speak. And I was like, yo, I'm telling him what I was going through. He's like, you gotta be brave. So he prayed like, God, keep the spirit of strength. Don't give him the spirit of fear, strengthen him and bolden him. So he went at it again. Same thing, growling, rolling, moving around all crazy. And like, I'm still nervous. And he's like trying to figure out like, you know, what the demon is. He's praying in tongues. And like time is flying a little bit faster for me. Cause at the end of it, it felt like probably another 30 minutes like that. But like 2 hours went by during this whole process. So then I come back and you know, I'm listening, and you know, and he said Legion. When he said Legion, that's when I'm gonna throw the clip up. When, you know, he just got enraged, yelling and doing all this crazy stuff. And I'm just like, wow. I remember that story when Jesus confronted the demon and I said Legion. They said, for we are many. Legions meaning thousands. And I'm like, how can somebody like me, the man of God, I consider myself not to be, you know, the most faithful person, but I had all of this in me. I was struggling like this. It was really like this bad. So it was just wild. Like, you know, just going crazy, moving around, growling, hands up in the air. And I'm just like, bold. I'm like, this demon is bold. Until something happened. So the demon hand is up and he's like, you gotta go. You gotta go. He renounced you. You gotta go. You have no legal right. And he's confronting him real bold. So, you know, his hands up bold. So it was a point, you can see in the video too, my hands go down. He was like, you know, God, I ask that you send your angels in there and you bind down his arms. Now I could feel him. I could feel the strength in my body, and it just went down just like this, and it went just like that. And I was like, wow. And that made me feel good, because I realized at that point, the thing that just took control over my body still yields to who I serve. So even though I wasn't in control, he was in control. And as long as I knew he was in control, I felt a lot more safe. It was just crazy, man. It was just crazy. Like, I can't really, like, even, it's hard to explain that experience. It's crazy. It was crazy. And I don't want this video to get too long. It's like 12 minutes already. But I'm gonna break it down into 2 different parts. The next part's gonna be, because it took 2 days. This took 2 days, so that's what happened the first day. So after he, you know, put the arms down and prayed, and like my chest went up and my mouth was wide open, and it opened to the point where it felt like my jaw was gonna break, and my head was just up, and I was like that for like a good, I want to say 15, 20 minutes of that coming out. And you know, at night I was scared to go back in the house because I didn't want to manifest. And you know, he's like, no, you're fine, because you're not being confronted by the Holy Spirit. So I went to bed that night, you know, just in shock. You know, I just went out, because the thing is that I've always believed in God. I've always believed in God. But at that point, I know that this is real, God is real, all of this stuff. Like, it's a difference between believing and knowing. You know what I'm saying? It's like difference between knowing and believing. I know, and that was the reality. And I was just in like awe the whole first night. And he said, hey, we're gonna try to do it again. And next video, I'm gonna talk into the second process and then the aftermath of how everything went after that.